Hey everyone, Reflected here. Welcome to the first episode of the series about my Red Flag 81-2 F-4 Phantom campaign, where I'm going to demonstrate all the cool custom features in it. The first one is the dynamic debriefing system. As you know, Red Flag was created in 1975 because the USAF figured out in Vietnam that, statistically speaking, their crews had a much better chance of surviving their tours after they survived their first 10 combat missions. So they had an idea. What if they could give their crews these first 10 combat missions in peacetime without the risk of getting shut down? So they created a large exercise that worked precisely like real combat, except for the lack of shooting at each other for real. In order to maximize the learning and to make use of all the training time, obviously, debriefs were one of the most important parts of the exercise. That's where you figure out what you did right and what you want to avoid doing if you ever get into real combat. At first, these were just based on personal recollections, and it often degraded to a "I shut you down, no you didn't, I shut you down" kind of debate. But then later, they implemented the NACTS, Netless Air Combat Training System, which tracked the position of each aircraft, and the whole thing could be replayed and analyzed on screen. Kind of like TAC-View in DCS. This way, the crews could learn from their mistakes and improve their performance for the following day. So I figured that a proper, realistic Red Flag campaign in DCS would need to have some sort of a debrief. Therefore, after you shut down the jet, a chalkboard will pop up on screen and you'll receive a score based on some criteria that I thought would most accurately reflect mission success. The first and most important one is survival. If you get hit by an aggressor, SAM or AAA, you're dead. Of course, it's just training, so in the mission, you are set to Immortal during the vol time, so you won't actually die, but you'll lose your points for this. If you're flying a strike mission, you'll be able to continue as a dead man, because turning back would be a serious waste of taxpayers' money. Why not practice hitting your target if you made it thus far? If you're flying counter-air, you'll need to egress back east to the brief regeneration zone. Then, once the controller says you're alive again, you can rejoin the fight. There's another way to die, by hitting the hard deck, which is 300 feet AGL. The missions are set up in a way that as soon as you're below 300 feet AGL, your immortality stops. So you can be shut down, or you can even crash into a mountain. Many thanks to Sedlo for the script that made this hard deck feature possible. The second criteria is hitting the target. It's very simple, you either hit it or you didn't. No room for appeal there. The third one is very interesting, it's time on target, or TOT. In real life, military pilots don't only have to hit their target, but they have to do so precisely at the brief time, because they're not on a solo mission. It's all part of a large-scale operation that has to go like clockwork. I read somewhere that in real life, you had a window of ±5 seconds, but because I have a soft heart, you'll have ±20 seconds. If you hit your target outside that window, you lose your TOT points. Hitting your TOT is actually the most immersive and fun part of the campaign in my opinion, because you'll need to follow your navigation plan carefully. I will make a separate video about this, so make sure you subscribe. Next one is the procedures. You'll have a realistic in-flight guide like crews did in real life. It contains every procedure you need to follow during the exercise: departures, approaches, holdings, emergencies, and so on. If you break any of the rules, you lose these points. If you're supposed to be between 16 and 19,000 feet and you climb to 20, you lose your point. If you're supposed to follow a departure route and you deviate and take a shortcut, you lose your points. So if you don't want to lose these points, better study the guides carefully and watch my upcoming tutorial video about these procedures. And finally, it's fuel management. In each exercise, you'll need to have at least 2,000 pounds of emergency reserve when you land. If you have less than that, you lose your points for this. You'll be flying with 2 external wing tanks, so normally you'll have enough fuel to complete the mission. Aerial refueling is not mandatory, but if, on your way home, you think you're too low, you can choose to hit the tanker and get some gas to be safe. It's your call, you're the aircraft commander. You have the only fuel gauge in the jet, and you have the throttles under your hand. Don't blame it on Jester or anyone else. This is of course for strike missions only. For other types of missions, you'll get different criteria. For example, for counter-air, it will check whether you got a kill, or defended the point or strike group that you had to defend, and so on. Whatever makes most sense for that type of mission. Each time you screw up, you will hear a remark about it on the radio, either from the controller or Jester, but you're the pilot. You can't expect anyone else to prevent you from making those mistakes before you do. If you didn't notice these calls and you have no idea where you lost those points, open the message history menu and start scrolling back, but don't be sending me tracks. Disclaimer: my Speed and Angels Tomcat campaign has something similar, the dynamic grading system. Having learned from the experience, I want to state something very, very clearly. Somehow, in today's world, nobody likes to assume responsibility. Everything is someone else's fault. The mission knows exactly what you did wrong, whether you hit the target or whether you were below 15,000 feet where you shouldn't have been, etc. If you come to me complaining how you got cheated, surely you did everything right, it must be the triggers that are broken, it's the AI's fault, or it's all because it wasn't spelled out for you clearly enough, I'm just going to ignore you because I've lost patience towards this kind of attitude over the years. If you don't get 100%, it's because you screwed the pooch. Get good. You're gonna get extensive, period-correct documentation, in-flight guides, navigation charts, kneeboards, and even an intro familiarization flight where all of the procedures will be explained to you. In this campaign, you're pretending to be a grown-up, responsible airman of the United States Air Force. If you want your points, act like it. What's great about this debrief system is that it lets you play the mission without having to do anything right. Of course, it's not a free flight, you still need to be roughly where you're supposed to be, but if you don't care about departure procedures, time on target, your aim sucks, and you get your ass handed to you by an SA-8, you can still continue the mission, RTB, and progress to the next one. If, however, you purchase this campaign for all the right reasons, and you want to do it right, you'll have to work hard to earn your mission score. This is also a very good incentive to replay the missions, and in combination with all the little randomizations I set up in there, each mission can be fun to play for even the 4th or 5th time. Alright, I hope you found this interesting, and you're excited to give it a go and see if you have what it takes to achieve maximum score. Hit that subscribe button, because there will be several other tutorials about this Red Flag campaign in the upcoming months. Alright, thanks for watching. See ya!